October 28th meeting of the Salisbury City Council. Want to welcome everyone here and at home on PAC 14. Just a couple of quick announcements. If you happen to have a cell phone, if you wouldn't mind putting that on silent or vibrate, and if you've got to take the call, if you wouldn't mind doing so outside in the hallway, we would appreciate it. If you haven't been with us before, although I don't think that applies to anyone here, we have emergency exits to your right out the door and then to the right down the hall and down the stairs. With that, we had Pastor Bill Green of Christ United Methodist Church scheduled for our city invocation, but he can't be with us this evening, so he's going to come join us another time. So I'm going to ask everyone to join me for a moment in a moment of silence. If you'll please now rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to ask our special guest this evening to come forward. Our special guest is Delegate Carl Anderton. Delegate Anderton is not at all a new delegate, but relatively newish, and asked for a few minutes to come say hello, and he's been joining us actually quite a bit. You've been here for a couple of meetings. Bring greetings, please.
I'm pretty jealous of that. Good evening, everybody. I'm sure knows me now, I guess. Delegate Carl Anderton Jr. I was the mayor in Delmar this time last year, and things have certainly changed in here. We're excited about where we are right now. Just wanted to come by and make sure that as we move forward into the upcoming session, that and throughout the year, when the city's applying for any grants or any type of funding, to make sure that we know about it, so we can send a letter of support, make phone calls, and go visit those on the board of public works or wherever we need to go to secure those funds for the city. So I'm doing the same thing in Delmar, Fruitland, with the county council as well. I want to try something different. Being a mayor, I've kind of felt on the municipal level a little bit left out sometimes when it comes to session and things going in Annapolis. And so I've noticed the county council will have a roundtable with legislators before session will begin. And so I thought, why don't we try it, with the 8 municipalities in Wycomico County to get together with the county delegation, and if you have questions of anybody serving, or if there are some who may be on some of the smaller councils may not have met everybody, just to get acquainted so we're all on the same page, because we're all fighting for the same thing in Annapolis, and that's the best way that we can make this, best place to call home. I mean, I think it already is. We can always strive for improvement, but sorry if I'm a little bit rushed. I just one of the few times in life where traffic actually works out on 404 coming back from Annapolis. So it was an interesting ride home. Normally we get stuck behind a tractor somewhere around Bridgeville, but we didn't today. We did good. So it's a banner day, travel-wise. So, but just, if you have any questions or if you need anything of me at all, don't hesitate to get a hold of me. My cell phone number is 443-359-1335. And we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a couple others. At Carl Anderton Jr. And so, I want to make sure that, you have all the access. You need those here, those in the audience, and those watching at home. So, again, thanks for letting me come up here, and I'm excited to see January get here, not because of the weather, but because we have a chance to do some good things. So, good seeing you.
Mr. Delegate, just want to say thank you for your commitment to Yeah, Mr. Delegate. Yeah. Oof, yeah.
It's very weird.
Come on, we're on TV. I'm not going to just say, hey, Carl. But we appreciate your commitment to Wycomico County's economic engines, the municipalities. We appreciate that, and thank you for coming here and sharing your thoughts. And you're welcome here anytime, of course.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we're throwing everything we can at the wall.
I know it.
Literally and metaphorically, but we've had discussions with Under Armour, with Tesla Motors, and we're working to keep some places here that are looking to go elsewhere. So something's going to stick, one way or another. And so I'm excited about having the opportunity to work with the current mayor, the new mayor coming up. That's one thing else that's changed for me. When I was elected, I had a good relationship with the mayor, the school board, Wycomico, the superintendent in Delmar, the council in Fruitland, the council in Delmar. Now it's all changed, So we're getting a new superintendent in Wycomico County Schools, so there goes that. The new superintendent in Delmar, there goes that. We've had council turnovers in Delmar and Fruitland, and we're getting changes here in Salisbury, so there goes that. But I do know the new mayor coming in pretty well, so at least I have that. So,
I think we'll be okay.
I think we're going to be just
We'll get
fine.
along.
We just got to make all the other pieces fall back in place. So,
Yes, sir.
That continuity I was expecting, being new going to Annapolis, I've lost it all. So, it's all new now. So, but anyway, thank you guys so much. And so,
Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. Next, this evening, we've got another special presentation, proclamation. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. Let me also just ask first off, does anybody know whose notes these are on Antonio? No? Okay. They're not mine, and they were here when I got here, so I thought I should ask, and I didn't read them. For the state secrets that could be in a car. Oh, they're not yours, are they? Let me also echo the good delegate for his service not only in Annapolis and in Delmar, but as the president of the Maryland Municipal League for many years. Always a voice for all of the cities throughout Maryland, working well with all the MML staff traveling throughout Maryland, all of the conventions, all of the conferences. I know that Vice President Mitchell is at most of them. I'm at some of them. They are integral to us learning to work together and learning things from other municipalities throughout the state. Carl truly has been the leader across Maryland in that particular effort. This evening's proclamation is a proclamation for Economic Development Week, so I'm going to ask Economic Development Director for Wycomico County and the City of Salisbury, Dave Ryan, to come forward, and our Office of Business Development Director, Laura Kordakowski, to come forward, please. Whereas the City of Salisbury's Office of Economic Development is an active member of the Maryland Economic Development Association, a nonprofit organization established in 1961, whose mission, am I all right? Okay. Wasn't sure about the 4 inches. Established in 1961, whose mission is to enhance the knowledge and skills of members, encourage partnerships and networking among people committed to bring jobs and capital to Maryland, and promote economic development as an investment in Maryland. And whereas MEDA members promote the economic well-being of Maryland by working to improve the state's business climate and the professionalism of those in the field of economic development, including other professionals with an interest in the economy of Maryland, and through its regular meetings, special programs, projects, members address diverse issues. And whereas the economic growth and stability of this state affects all regions and jurisdictions of Maryland, the City of Salisbury, Wycomico County, and all of those are important components of the state's success. And whereas this evening, Salisbury does its part to make sure we are better for business in granting Delmar Brewing Company, Delmarva Printing and Design, DeCarlo Precision Instrument, and Pepsi Cola Bottling Ventures, general fund appropriation contracts in forms of a manufacturing exemption request that will be granted this evening. So now, therefore, I, James Ireton, Jr., Mayor of the City of Salisbury, do hereby proclaim September the 28th through October the 2nd, 2015 as Economic Development Week in the city, to highlight the investment in partnerships that strengthen our competitiveness, and ask all to join in recognizing and reaffirming the importance of business development locally and statewide. And I will present that to Mr. Ryan and Ms. Kordakowski, and then leave the podium to them for comments.
Okay. I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to say thank you to the council and administration for recognizing Economic Development Week in the city of Salisbury and across the state. Economic Development Week is really a great opportunity to really highlight the importance of the work that economic development agencies are doing across Maryland. I'm really excited. I've been in this position for almost 2 years now, and I've just learned an immense amount about economic development and the role that it plays in communities. And I've had many opportunities to collaborate with Mr. Ryan, the chamber, state entities, and of course the local businesses. Economic development is really about businesses, it's about industry, and it's about community. And it connects everything and everyone. It's the job that requires a delicate balance of individual attention and also looking at the big picture. And it involves a great deal of problem solving and solution finding. Locally, there's several things that we can celebrate as ways we've helped our business community. As the mayor mentioned, we've got 4 manufacturing exemptions tonight, and we've seen quite a few of those over the last year. We've seen an approved expansion of our arts and entertainment district. We've seen more large-scale events and businesses come downtown. Occupancy has risen. I've heard River's Edge just hit 100% occupancy with 49 artists living there, so that's huge. Last year, we distributed $100,000 in community legacy downtown facade grants. We are accepting applications for another $125,000. And then since the beginning of this fiscal year, we've actually accepted more enterprise zone applications than we had all in last year, and that was in 3 months. So we're really seeing that program get beefed up, and we've actually accepted a total of 90 since the inception of the program. And then finally, we've seen 31 properties take advantage of our homeowner conversion tax credit program. So that's 31 properties that were formerly rentals that are now owner occupied. So in closing, I'm looking forward to many more opportunities to continue working with our local businesses and to promote Salisbury as a great place to live, work, and play. Thanks.
Well said, Laura, and thank you for having us both here tonight. It's a pleasure working with Laura throughout the year and the entire staff of the City of Salisbury. We've been a long-time member of the Maryland Economic Development Association. I'm a past president of the organization. It's very a strong trade group for our industry. Lots of industries are facing great challenges these days. Lots of change occurring very rapidly in the industries these days. Economic development is no different. If we look at the change in our industrial base over many decades and consider the new opportunities, what we may look like in the decades ahead, we look forward to continuing our work to organically grow some of our manufacturing businesses. We look forward to our continued assistance to existing companies, perhaps where the greatest growth may occur, and we look forward to attracting new investment to the community. City Council and Mr. Mayor, you can rest assured there's not a day that goes by that we're not heavily involved in the Labanal transition. We'll continue to be heavily involved in that transition. And there's little more days that go by that we're not involved in the Cadista project, but that's good news because that's nearing completion as they add 200 to 300 new pharmaceutical jobs to the industrial base here. On an entrepreneurial note, we're probably, not just me, but the City of Salisbury and the county, more connected to our university partners than ever before. We've got an art gallery downtown. A building was just donated a couple of weeks ago. Trolley's running its service now. We are heavily involved in the business plan competitions at Salisbury University, the Bernstein Award, the Radcliffe Foundation, Shore Hatchery, and Shark Tank. Heavily involved in the mentoring programs with the entrepreneurship and honors living and learning communities, and we just think that's a great way to retain talent, to attract talent, and keep talent here in our community, and to start new businesses and recognize and realize new innovations. So in closing, I just want to thank the mayor and the city council, all of the city council, for your support, not just this past year, but in years previous, and especially thank you for allowing us to work with a very talented staff within the City of Salisbury. Thank you.
Just briefly, I just want to say how grateful I am for the two of you. And I think we've got real incredible assets in economic development in the two of you in this community. But I will say that over the last few weeks, I'm kind of getting tired of hearing the sentence, well, you know, Laura's the one who makes everything happen. I swear I've heard that probably 7 times in 2 weeks. And they're like, oh yeah, you guys are fine, whatever. But Laura, you know, thank goodness we have Laura. So I keep hearing that. All right. Thank you both. Okay. Now on to tonight's legislative agenda. I will entertain a motion to adopt the legislative agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. I'd like to make a motion to remove ordinances 2354 and 2355, both for first reading from the consent agenda, be placed directly after the ordinances on the regular agenda.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for that amendment. Can I suggest that we put them just in their numerical order?
That's fine.
23, 24, 25, or 2353, 2354.
Yeah, which one was it? I'm sorry. I lost that.
2354 and 2355.
So they would go right after 2353.
The two ordinances that were in the consent agenda, on the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Nelson?
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Tonight on the consent agenda, we have the April 20th, 2015 budget session minutes, the April 21st, 2015 budget session minutes, April 23rd, 2015 budget session minutes, August 17th, 2015 work session minutes, August 24th, 2015 regular meeting minutes. We have resolution number 2547, approving the appointment of Andy Kitzrow to the Historic District Commission for term ending 9/28/2018. Resolution number 2548, approving the appointment of Jeannie Mears to the Friends of Poplar Hill Mansion Board of Directors for term ending 12/31/2018. Resolution number 2549, in response to resolution number 2513, as approved by Mayor James Ireton Jr. on June 25th, 2015, staggering of terms. And that is for the Bicycle Pedestrian Committee. Resolution number 2550, accepting the donation of the real property located at 324 Poplar Hill Avenue, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, from the owner Christine Wolf. Resolution number 2551, accepting the donation of the real property located at 527 Wales Street, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, from the estate of James W. Windsor. Resolution number 2552, accepting the donation of the real property located at 524 East Isabella Street, Salisbury, Maryland 21801, from the estate of James W. Windsor. And then there are 4 manufacturing exemptions as mentioned earlier. The first one is to Delmar Brewing Company, LLC. Second is Delmarva Printing and Design, Inc. Third, DeCarlo Precision Instrument, Inc. And Pepsi Bottling Ventures, LLC. And that concludes the consent agenda.
Okay. All those in favor of the consent agenda as presented, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. I just want to take a second. Is Ms. Mears here? No. Be here. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, Ms. Mears and her family are in our thoughts and prayers. Mr. Kitzrow, thank you for your service to the city. We appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind standing, just so everybody could recognize you.
Here, here.
And I just want to say a quick thanks to Delmar Brewing Company, our Evolution and Southern Boys, Delmarva Printing and Design, DeCarlo Precision Instruments, and Pepsi Bottling Ventures for their continued investment in our community. Next item on our agenda is resolution number 2553. I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2553.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, are you going to do the?
This, I thought this was Mr. Cordry.
Okay.
Mr. Cordry would
Yeah,
like
yeah.
to do that.
Absolutely.
If you get confused at all, or Keith makes you lose your place, I'll take over and bring you back home.
Excellent. Mr. Cordry.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Public Works has identified projects that up until now have been funded from operating funds and which would be better funded from capital reserve funds. Resolutions 2553 and 2554 provided to you tonight call for changing the source of funds for these projects from operating to capital reserves by authorizing the transfer of funds to the water and sewer fund from the capital reserve funds. The transfers, $166,230 from water impact, $178,890 from sewer impact, and $759,690 from the depreciation reserve, will serve to reimburse the water sewer fund for expenditures made for the projects listed in Schedule A on the two resolutions.
Any questions? Comments? I mean, Keith, dare I ask, the question I guess that comes up associated with this is just, this particular reimbursement or shift. Long term, does this help us, course correct? Or is this the sort of thing where we're going to be talking about it every year? And I know you and I have talked about it, but I'm still not sure I understand completely.
We just saw an opportunity to use capital reserve funds for their intended purpose. And so this reimbursement will align those projects with a good source of funding. And it also helps the operating fund balance its cash status.
If I
May I
may.
answer the question?
Let's let
Somewhat.
Laura take a stab
Somewhat.
at it.
Ms. Mitchell?
As I see this is when we're collecting the capacity fees from people who are connecting to our system, we're telling them that this is so that we can accommodate the added need that their growth is bringing to our system. And that's what those funds are for. And to sit and hold them without using them for that purpose is not a great idea. And then we're using operating monies to pay for it and seeing subsequent rate increases because we have to pay for this work, when really it should be coming from the capacity fees that we've already collected to account for that. So I'm in favor of this.
If there was an award to give tonight, Laura Mitchell would get the award.
We take the money for this purpose, we should spend it for that purpose. It's that simple.
No,
And
that's
one,
helpful.
one added note, we did go on a vacation, so to speak, to use those funds because we were making certain there was a way forward for funding the wastewater treatment plant that was certain before we started making use of it. So
Okay.
Right.
we held on to those funds until we had a clear perspective on how we were going to fund that wastewater treatment
Okay.
plant.
Exactly.
So this conversation, may not have happened if we were still in that, if we were still trying to figure out how to pay for the new wastewater treatment plant upgrades. Okay. Any other questions?
From a dollar standpoint, how is this going to help us along? I mean, what's in that fund at this point?
In that fund, there is, with just a little history, as of the, there was about $8.2 million before we made the transfer as a result of the FY16 budget. We appropriated $2.9 million for CIP projects. So that brings us down to about 4.1.
And do you have an idea of how, on an annual basis, this is replenished?
There's a steady flow of funds that come out of a tier in the water sewer utility billing. And so it's like a nickel for, for every 1,000 gallons in city rates. And it's 10 cents for every 1,000 gallon increase on the outside city rates.
That's for 2554, right, for the depreciation,
That's
not for the capacity
depreciation reserve
fee.
fund, right?
Okay.
Right, that's how it
Okay.
replenishes.
So people, nickels and dimes do make a difference.
Yeah, over time, the average has been
Or you
about,
could say you're getting nickel and dime to death.
Oh, well, you could say.
in the depreciation reserve fund, it's been about $127,000 on, as an average over the last 6 years that has flowed through that, to that
That's
fund.
substantial. That's good. Yeah, thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Just,
Or
if I could just say
2553.
the work that Keith, the people who do the charts and figures, and all the people in Public Works, especially in that water and sewer group, that are looking at seeing how we're moving forward to be able to bring all of this and make it coherent and make us understand that there was a better way forward than keeping things the way they were. I do want to express my appreciation to all of the people in those two departments.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, all those in favor of Resolution 2553, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Now entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2554, transfer associated with the Depreciation Reserve Fund.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Cordry, are you coming back to do that, or?
That presentation was intended to
Cover both.
Okay. Do you mind reading the?
Do you mind reading it
Yeah, the
again?
resolution. No, just the resolution piece.
Sure. Read the resolution for,
Appreciation,
Yeah,
2554.
2554.
54.
It's the whereas clauses, if you don't mind, just so we get them in the record.
Keeps me from doing it.
whereas the city of Salisbury passed ordinance 1725 on June 28, 1999, which established the depreciation reserve fund that was to be used for the intended purpose to fund the replacement of water and sewer facilities and capital equipment. And whereas the city has identified projects listed in Schedule A that follows, which requires reimbursements to the water sewer fund for previous expenditures in completing these projects, which were for the replacement of water and sewer facilities.
Thank you. And I'm sure there are no questions. All right. All those in favor of Resolution 2554, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2353 for second reading. This is granting the easement to Delmarva Power for an easement across city-owned property. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2353.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Tillman?
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury granting a utility easement to Delmarva Power and Light Company across city-owned property on Marine Road in Salisbury. Whereas the City of Salisbury owns a wastewater treatment plant located on Marine Road, and whereas the city is performing upgrades at the wastewater treatment plant, and whereas the upgrades include burying existing aerial electric facilities on the city-owned site, and whereas Delmarva Power has requested the city enter into a utility easement agreement attached here too that allows Delmarva Power the right to construct, operate, and maintain the infrastructure in association with a wastewater treatment plant property. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, the City of Salisbury allows Delmarva Power and Light to construct, operate, and maintain infrastructure within the wastewater treatment property, and that the mayor is authorized to execute the utility easement agreement. And that should probably say attached here too, which it does follow, but that's not referred to.
Is that something we can
Yeah, that's fine.
do administratively?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance 2353, again for second reading, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Now we'll go to ordinance number 2354, which was pulled from the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2354. All
So moved.
Second.
right, motion and a second. Mr. Tillman?
Folder here, this is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving a budget amendment of the FY16 general fund budget to make changes to the approved positions in the Zoo Division of the Department of Public Works as part of the reorganization plan. Whereas the Salisbury Zoo has experienced staff vacancy through the retirement of an employee and created an opportunity to redefine certain supervisory positions, and whereas part of the proposed Zoo Division reorganization is to reclassify existing grade 10 animal curator position to create a grade 8 collection registrar position to manage the record-keeping functions required at the zoo and oversee the licensing accreditation requirements for the zoo and assist in the strategic composition of a living collection. And whereas part of the proposed zoo division reorganization is to reclassify one existing grade 7 zookeeper 4 position to create a grade 8 lead keeper position in order to assume a portion of the duties performed by the animal control position and to manage the daily scheduling of collection personnel, manage work projects to sustain and improve collection facilities, and apply institutional operating standards. And whereas as part of the proposed zoo division reorganization is to reclassify the existing grade 7 veterinary technician position to create a grade 8 animal health coordinator position in order to better support planned animal health maintenance and to foster managerial collaboration. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, the city's fiscal year 16 budget is hereby amended as follows. Reclassify the grade 10 animal curator with a salary funded under 4000-501002 to a grade 8 collection registrar position, and reclassify grade 7 zookeeper 4 position with a salary funded under 4000-501002 to create a grade 8 lead keeper position, and reclassify grade 7 veterinary technician position with a salary funded under 4000-501002 to a grade 8 animal health coordinator position. And the documents supporting that are attached, I believe, as part of a memo, and there's a number of things there. And if you have any specific questions about the zoo, I am not the guy to answer this question.
Are there any questions for Mr. Pylan?
Not a question, just a comment. This could have turned into a very expensive deal, but I want to commend the effort that was made to be creative and essentially have a zero effect on the budget. Fantastic job, and I, you listen to all that and you go, well, what's that all about? That's about a guy doing his job and making sure that our tax dollars are being used smartly. So thank you.
You're here.
They're here.
Let me just also add, and thanks to you, the City Council. You took several of these in the Internal Services Department several years back, a couple of them in Public Works, and redid things for us, and now for the zoo. So we do appreciate your understanding and your flexibility as the department heads find the best way to use the tax dollars.
Sir.
When it's presented like this, it's easy.
I didn't understand a word of it. I needed the pictures. I had the pictures from the zoo. This is really about Anne retiring and Conopic retiring, isn't it? And
Yes.
that's basically where we are.
She was doing the work of 3 people.
She
so
was
we had to
doing
split it up.
They showed me a picture of Anne. They divided it into 3. I said, move it forward.
Excellent. All those in favor of ordinance number 2354, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is also moved from the consent agenda, ordinance number 2355. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Mr. Tillman?
All right, this is another budget amendment ordinance of the City of Salisbury approving a budget amendment of the FY16 general fund budget to appropriate funds returned on a contract. And just in brief summary, this is one of those situations where the city had entered into a contract with a prospective police officer, and when he did not fulfill the terms of the contract, he reimbursed that money that was spent on his education, and that money is now coming back in. Whereas the police department requires police officer recruits to enter into a prorated 5-year contract prior to employment, whereas a police officer who does not meet the conditions of the contract reimbursed the city a prorated amount of $2,904, and whereas the Salisbury Police Department requests that these funds be placed in our police services training account 21021-555504 to offset police academy training costs. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, that the city's fiscal year 2015 general fund budget be and is hereby amended as follows, with an increase in the general fund revenue 01000-456911 by $2,904 and an increase in the police department budget by an equivalent amount.
Okay. Are there questions? All right. Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 2355, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2356. This is the Riverwalk Standards Ordinance for first reading. I'll entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 2356.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. And it should be noted that we have read this once, but we let that pass as as the administration and the city attorney made some changes. So, Mr. Tillman?
This is an ordinance of the City of Salisbury amending Title 12, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Chapter 12.24, Wycomico River Regulations of the City Code by adding sections 12.24.040 and 12.24.050 for the purpose of establishing criteria for river access and standards for river walk construction under the direction and supervision of the Public Works Department. Whereas the city maintains a river walk along the Wycomico River and the south prong of the Wycomico River from west of the marina to State Route 13 on both sides of the waterway, and whereas the Riverwalk allows for public access to and along the river in the city of Salisbury, and whereas the Riverwalk is not continuous along the Wycomico River in the south prong, and whereas to provide the public and individual property owners with access to along the properties proposed for development along the river in the area designated on the attached exhibit, which are in the Riverfront Development District, the Central Business District, and the General Commercial Zoning District, shall be required to recognize and acknowledge the Riverwalk in conjunction with constructing other improvements on the property. And whereas private development should be planned in a manner to complement public improvements, and whereas the city of Salisbury will be responsible for future maintenance and improvements to the Riverwalk once constructed and deeded to the city, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salisbury, Maryland, that Chapter 12.24 be amended by the addition of Sections 12.24.040 and 12.24.05 as set forth herein. 040, public access to Wycomico River, all development within the corporate limits of the city adjacent to and binding upon the Wycomico River. The north prong and the south prong shall be consistent with public plans for access to and along the Wycomico River as illustrated on the attached exhibit. Along the Riverwalk, the properties included are in the Riverfront Development District and the Central Business District, terminating at the west at Wycomico Street in parcel 1109, map 0106. Along the north prong, the properties included are in the Riverfront Development District and the Central Business District. Along the south prong, the properties included are in the Central Business District and General Commercial District. During land development and redevelopment of a property located in the aforementioned locations along the Wycomico River, the north prong and the south prong of the Wycomico River, the property owner shall reserve suitable area for construction of the Riverwalk to meet the city construction standards, Riverwalk construction standards, and applicable standards regulating subdivisions. All right, for Section 050, Riverwalk construction standards pursuant to the City Code for the Chesapeake Bay Critical Area Natural Resources Program, Section 12.02.500, Item D, the Riverwalk shall be 8 feet wide with a 10-foot wide vegetative buffer. The specific materials of construction are defined in the city construction standards. The Riverwalk shall include a railing and shall accommodate handicap accessibility. Per the city construction standards, the Riverwalk shall include benches, trash receptacles, and lighting.
So, Ms. Pollock and Mr. Lennox, I'm not sure who I should direct this to. I think this is much simpler. This is a very straightforward way of approaching this. And if I understand it, help me make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. I think what I'm seeing is we've essentially taken what we already require through the critical area ordinance that was adopted 2 years ago, and essentially says that that area shall be reserved within the properties located in these several districts. Is that about right, Mr. Lennox? Okay. Thank you. I like it. I appreciate the effort put into it. Are there questions, comments? Mr. Mayor?
No, I'm still, this is in its second machination.
Mm-hmm.
Just what are we able to require in a manner to complement public improvements? I was going to say for lawyerly writing, that's awfully vague. From what I understand from my 6 years of working with the city attorney, that would be awfully vague. And the property owner shall reserve suitable area for construction, and as to whether or not we, still not sure, can make them. And I know that it's good that we have this,
Mm-hmm.
and it shows that this, if we can, I'm assuming if we can get them to give it to us, this is how we'd like them to give it to us, but it does not say required.
It does. Shall implies required. So the difference
in my
here.
house, it does, yeah.
Right. Well, what this does is really articulates the how, because what we already have, as my reading of our critical area ordinance when we adopted that, it already basically said that they have to reserve the area. I mean, I think that this is just a reiteration of that. But this also says that it must be to our standard.
Right.
The public
And that's
works
the good,
standard.
that's the most important part.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that's what it achieves.
I just also, just as a point, the money that was appropriated by the council, I think over a year ago now, you can start seeing the work is being done down by La Quinta and headed in this direction.
Excellent.
I thought something was wrong. I must skidded off Route 13. And then I pulled in and was like, that's what we're paying for, and it's starting at that end. So the work that we had approved to get done has started, so that's good as well. So I want to congratulate all of us for the funding and the Public Works for getting it off the ground.
We will see the new Riverwalk standard applied throughout the area.
They call it an 8-foot whale, which I was a little confused because I thought it was WHALE. It's not, it's WALE, correct? So look for the 8-inch whale.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 2356 for first reading, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next item on our agenda is ordinance number 2357 for first reading. This is the issuance of bonds from FY16. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance 2357.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Tillman?
Okay, briefly, this is a budget ordinance including the issuance of $4,726,000 in bonds to fund projects listed in Schedule B of the FY16 budget ordinance. I'll just read the introductory language. It's very any more than that. Ordinance number 2357, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Salisbury to authorize and empower the City of Salisbury to issue and sell from time to time upon its full faith and credit general obligation bonds in one or more series in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4,726,200. The proceeds of the sale thereof to be used and applied for the public purpose of financing, reimbursing, or refinancing costs as defined herein, which include issuance costs and capitalized interest of the public purpose projects identified herein as Main Street Master Plan, East Main Street Storm Drain, Beaver Dam Creek Tidal Dam Repair, and 24-inch west repair and 24-inch, and I'm not sure
Water
exactly
main.
what that is. Water main in Gordy Road. Specifying the maximum principal amount of the bonds or bond anticipation notes provided for herein to be allocated to each such project, subject to reallocation by the city in accordance with the applicable budgetary procedures or law, providing for the council by resolution to determine, approve, or provide for various matters relating to the authorization, sale, security, issuance, delivery, payment, and redemption of, and for each series of the bonds, authorizing and empowering the council to provide by resolution for the issuance and sale from time to time of one or more series of general obligation bond anticipation notes in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $4,726,200. Prior to and in anticipation of the issuance of any of the bonds authorized herein, in order to finance or reimburse project costs on an interim basis, authorizing and empowering the council to provide by resolution for the issuance and sale from time to time of one or more series of general obligation bonds in order to refund any of the bonds issued pursuant to the authority of this ordinance, including payment, issuance, costs, and interest on such refunding bonds, provided that the aggregate principal amount of any such series of refunding bonds shall not exceed 130% of the aggregate principal amount of the bonds refunded therefrom, providing for the levy and collection of ad valorem taxes sufficient for and pledging the full faith and credit and unlimited taxing power of the city to the prompt payment of the principal of and interest on each series of bonds, the bond anticipation notes, and the refunding bonds authorized hereby, providing that the principal of and interest on each series of the obligations also may be paid from any other sources or revenue lawfully available to the city for such purpose, providing that certain actions may be taken or provided for by resolution in connection with reissuance of any of the obligations, providing that any of the obligations authorized hereby may be consolidated with any bonds, bond anticipation notes, and/or refunding bonds authorized by the council issued as a single series of bonds, bonds anticipation notes, and/or refunding bonds, authorizing and directing officials and employees of the city to take any and all action necessary to complete and close the sale and delivery of the obligations, providing that this title shall be deemed a statement of the substance of this ordinance for all purposes and otherwise generally relating to the issuance, sale, delivery, and payment of the obligations.
It must take practice not to hyperventilate when doing that.
It's a whole class in law school.
When I worked for the government, I was given a speed reading course.
Tell you what, it
I
shows.
don't want me to waste any time.
Fortunately, we had the Economic Development Week proclamation read, and the greatest economic development activity that any local government can undertake is the extension of services. And the Main Street Master Plan and 24-inch water main and Gordy Road are prime examples of that. And so I applaud the administration for the work there. I know people are very excited to see that Main Street work begin. The other two are also, I think, significant steps.
Not as glamorous.
Not as glamorous, but I think significant steps, particularly when it comes to our role in impacting the quality and health of the Wycomico River and the Chesapeake Bay. We talk frequently, or we hear frequently about the role of agriculture and impact of agriculture, but we know a lot of the impact comes from right here in our urbanized areas, and there's progress being made, shown right here. So again, applaud Public Works and applaud the Finance Department and the administration for this great work. So I have no questions, but are there questions from council?
I have one, but I'll ask after, because I'm not sure it's public yet, about the rates that we're looking at for them, so.
Okay. All right. All right, with that, all those in favor of ordinance 2357, please signify your support by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right. That is all we have on the agenda, but we did have one request for public comment. Mr. Bill Carcello. Yes.
Hi, my name is Bill Corsello. I'm visiting from Austin, Texas. My girlfriend's father lives up here, and he's elderly, and we're taking care of his house before I'm moving on to a job in New York City. I left my vehicle up here for her to drive, and I got one of these. She was driving the vehicle, and it's a citation, speed monitoring violation. Now, I'm not a lawyer or anything, and I just had a civics class, I think in 6th grade. And a couple of the there's some things troubling about this to me. Basically the right to face your accuser is a camera. They said, well, you can talk to the guy who calibrates the camera. That doesn't sound too good to me. I won't be able to go to the court. It's $40, and I know everyone's just like, I'm just gonna pay it. But I guess living in Texas for the last 20 years, it's rubbed off on me a little. And talking to Major Cole, he's just like, well, you have the right to go to court, and I don't know about the legality of it. I know Wycomico County saw that they've decided not to use it, and when I talked to the Office of the Attorney General, which apparently is in Baltimore and not in Annapolis, they said that Baltimore County and Baltimore City have both said that these are illegal too. Now this has the seal of the city of Salisbury on it, so I guess you guys have sanctioned its use through a third party in Hagerstown. And I'm just gonna pay it, but I just thought you'd bring it to your attention that someone visiting your town gets this thing, and it just seems a little bit tyrannical. Not a little bit, a lot of it. And the right to face your accuser. Also, I wasn't driving. It's a picture basically taken by an inanimate object of an inanimate object, but the onus is on me to prove my innocence. That's French law. That's not English common law. Guilty till proven innocent. Is that Salisbury, Maryland? I ask you guys. Moving on. Yeah. That's about it. We're here taking care of her dad, he's a retired pastor at Bethesda Methodist. He's gotten 3 of these things, He's going 12 miles over the speed limit, I think on Riverside, which is a wide road. It's almost like a speedway. You want to gun it. You just want to gun it, but you better not. Now I'm just taking your time up. That's about it. I'm going to pay it, but I think you guys should ditch this thing. It's garbage, it's illegal, and it sucks, and it's not cool for people visiting or the people who have to live here. Cheers.
Thank you. Anything for the good of the order? All right, we're adjourned.